Next up, we have a global keynote speaker who will be sharing with us how we can revolutionize healthcare by bridging the digital physical divide with AI and Metaverse. Let's put our hands together and welcome Prof. Lim Teck, Professor and Director of Eye Health and NUS.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I want to thank James for inviting me here to give this talk and following the theme of advocating AI for good. Today, I'm going to talk about the kind of work we're doing in our lab, in particular, how we are going to change healthcare through the use of AI and Metaverse. But in particular, I'm going to actually focus on how we are going to bridge the digital-physical divide when it comes to solving healthcare problems. So I'm going to start with basically this slide. We all know that we are approaching an aging population. And in fact, come 2026, at least 21% of Singaporeans will be over the age of 65. And this was actually commented by Mr. Ong Ye Kung, who is the health minister. But if you look at the whole world from WHO's perspective, it's going to be about 2050. But certainly there are many other countries similar to Singapore where we are reaching this, what we call a super age society. The other thing is, in Singapore itself, Singaporeans actually have a rather very high life expectancy, and that's about 83.47 years. But unfortunately, a lot of us will be spending the last 10 years in poor health. And that's because if you look at this particular chart over here, those who are age 65 and above, at least 80% will have at least one chronic condition for those who are age 65 and above. At least 68% have two or more chronic conditions. And certainly, what it means is that with an aging population, there will be a lot more people who will have, will need healthcare support. So there are many strategies to really tackle healthcare. Of course, one of them is technology, because if you go to the modern day hospital, without technology, we will start to express some doubt about whether this hospital will be able to effectively treat us or even diagnose us. So certainly, technology is one strategy that we adopt. So actually, back in our university, right, National University of Singapore, we have set up this Institute for Health, Innovation and Technology in 2017. And the idea was to develop health technologies with the aim towards moving them from the lab to the bedside to benefit patients. So there are three areas actually we are focusing. Diagnostics and precision therapy is one of them. Smart sensors and AI is the other one. And brain health and aging is the third area. This is a rather busy chart, but it shows some of the technologies we have been developing over the last 5 years. And some of them, we are indeed commercializing them and bringing them from the bench to the bedside. But for today's talk, I'm going to focus in particular on the health metaverse that we are also working on to tackle some of the healthcare problems. And we think that health metaverse itself would be a kind of a transformative approach to healthcare delivery, accessibility, and even personalization. And the reason is because with the traditional healthcare model that we have, is getting more and more challenging, especially with an aging population, as more and more people need to seek help from the hospital. And second, of course, hopefully through this health metaverse, we can enhance the kind of healthcare accessibility. Although in Singapore, healthcare accessibility is not so much a problem. It's a small country, it's a small city. We can easily go to the hospital. But recently, I was attending an intelligent health conference in Norway. And for them, they are residents who are staying, patients are staying far away from the city, and trying to reach them is a problem. So we have to ensure accessibility for these patients. Of course, through Health Metaverse, you can also enable personalized healthcare because we are always collecting data from individuals, and from the data, we can do proper analysis and determine what's the best treatment for the patients. And of course, medical training and simulation is the other area which I'm going to talk about afterwards. And of course, pandemic preparedness is the other one. We just came out of a pandemic, and really during that time, this would be a fantastic solution for our patients. However, when we work in the area of health metaverse, there's always this digital physical divide. So what is it all about? Really, the digital-physical divide really is a kind of a gap or disconnect between the virtual digital healthcare experiences and the actual physical reality of patients and healthcare providers. So what we're trying to do for our case, being a hardware developer or more focusing on deep tech, we're trying to develop technology that will enable us to be able to interact between the digital and the physical realm. And one technology to do that is actually using haptic technology. So if you look at this chart over here, or this slide, there are many different categories of haptic devices developed over many years. Some of them are surface haptics. They provide vibration when you touch it. The other one is mid-air haptics, where they use ultrasound or even air vortices to hit against the hand for you to feel something there. Of course, there's also handheld haptics as well, and wearable haptics. But for us, we're very interested in developing wearable haptics. And really what I'm talking about is the ability to feel virtual objects in 3D. So if you have play around with VR before or try some of this VR software, normally it involves a VR headset. So if you look at a VR headset, it gives you the visual and audio information, which is critical for you to navigate around in the VR world. However, right now, most of the time, the person will use a controller, and the controller involves moving it to a virtual object and pressing and clicking a button. So you don't have the ability to actually hold an object and feel whether it's soft or hard and so on. However, to feel an object, whether it's soft or hard and its roughness, we need actually two types of sensation. So one is called the cutaneous sensation, which means if you touch an object, you can use mechanoreceptors on your fingertip to feel a surface, whether it's soft or hard, whether it's cold or hot. The other one is what we call a kinesthetic sensation. So that is where it's built, where you have the sensors in your joints itself. So if you hold an object, your joint cannot move any further because you're holding an object. So there is this sensation where you cannot bend your joint. So these two sensations are actually needed for us to have a more realistic sense of touch in a virtual reality world. And of course, haptics market actually right now has been reaching about $28 billion, and by 2026 we'll reach about $28 billion and even higher as we progress further. So there are two actually very interesting haptic glove technology that has been developed. One is called a Hapex glove, and the other one is actually the Meta glove. Sorry. So can I cannot click the button. That's the oh yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned, there are two actually gloves that is quite pretty well known. One is called the Hapex glove, which is already in the market. So Hapex gloves, as you can see, right, involves wearing a very bulky glove and is driven by pneumatics. And you can see that the wearer himself is wearing a backpack that carries a gas tank that pumps air into the glove. The other one is Mark Zuckerberg, who is sitting on a chair operating a glove. But as you can see, there's air tubes and cables that's linked to the control system as well as the gas tank. So it's not that portable. Realizing that actually there are some limitations with regard to the current state-of-the-art and technology, we decided to develop our own haptic glove, which is totally portable. Everything is actually mounted on the glove itself. And also, it's pretty lightweight. It's about 283 grams, about maybe slightly heavier than a weight of a cell phone. So this is the glove itself that we have developed. We call it the Hap glove to allow us to have a more immersive kind of experience in the virtual world. And of course, you can use the glove to pick up objects and so on. However, I will show you what are the different scenarios that we can do. For example, with the glove, you can press a button, feel the stiffness of an object, stacking blocks and so on. But let me just show you the movie itself. For example, in 3D space, right, we can simulate a button, and when you press it, you can literally feel you're pressing a button. apart from that, we can also use this to press objects of different stiffness. So you can confer, for example, these two different balls, one much more stiffer, one softer, and you can literally use our glove, hold it up and press it, and you can sense the difference in stiffness. Of course, you can also use this to play games. For example, piece together a 3D puzzle. We can also hold a beating heart in your hands. You can literally feel the beat itself, as well as feeling the raindrops that's hitting on your fingertip. So we do have a kind of a micro-indenter that's put onto the fingertip where you can indent your finger to simulate raindrops hitting against the fingertip. Of course, you can't feel the wetness, but you can feel the raindrops hitting on the finger. And of course, we can also press a balloon itself, feel the elasticity, press it, and be able to feel the bursting of the balloon as well. Certainly, this can also be used for gaming. For example, this is something we have developed where we developed an archery game. But in terms of applying it to healthcare, what we're trying to do is to develop this health metaverse. Really, we hope that using our gloves as well as the goggles that we have, we not only enable users and patients to hopefully motivate them to get involved in fitness activities, but we also been using it to do medical training of medical doctors, as well as for telemedicine consult and nursing training. Psychotherapy is also the other interesting area for application, and rehab is the last one. So I won't go through all of them, but let me just show you some of the very interesting applications we have been using using our gloves. So the first is actually in terms of medical training, but involving palpation. So palpation basically involves using our fingers to feel a person's body, and it's kind of a physical examination. What we're trying to do is to do palpations to check whether there's any abnormality in the organs. For example, whether a liver is stiffened or there's some tumor, for example, inside the breast or somewhere in the abdomen. And this is part and parcel of a kind of a training that medical students have to go through. So working with the National University Hospital, we are using our gloves to use it to train students how to do palpation. So of course, currently what the students do is they are actually pressing against a patient's abdomen. So imagine a patient being pressed by 50 to 100 students, right, which is very uncomfortable. But we rather have them go through this first before they actually do it on the patient. So the way we do it is this: we have an avatar, a patient avatar. So the patient can be a child, an adult, or someone who is elderly, and we can incorporate different disease scenarios. For example, we can have a stiffened liver, or we can incorporate certain tumor in the body. But of course, you won't tell the students where the tumor is. What we can do is, first, we let an experienced doctor do it first, a few experienced doctors do it first, and with our gloves, we can capture the whole process and the whole procedure that the experienced doctor has done, gone through. And then using AI, we can then instruct the students or teach them how to do palpation. And if they were to do something wrong, then we can actually use AI to correct them. So this is one example where a student, he wear our gloves and then try to palpate this particular patient. And in the process, he's supposed to look out for a tumor. And suddenly he found that there's a tumor there. And what he does is to check whether there is a tumor, he can press a button to see whether there is indeed a tumor there. Of course, the advantage of this is they can do as many times as he or she wants to until they are confident enough to do it on the actual patient. And of course, we can also be able to track the progress the students has made and make it a bit more personalized in terms of training the students. And of course, students can do this not only in the hospitals or the schools, but can also do it at home too. You can basically do it anywhere as long as the VR goggles, our headset, and our healthy glove. So the other area is actually in the rehabilitation. So rehab is actually quite interesting. If you look at the WHO report that was published in 2019, about 2 billion or 1/3 of the world's population will have health conditions that will benefit from some form of rehabilitation. And that is actually a huge number and actually a huge market too. And because of this, there's always this lack of rehab healthcare professionals. And what we're trying to do is to see if we can enable the patients to actually go back home to do their rehab without having to go to the hospital. Again, what we're trying to do is to discourage patients to go to hospitals if they can do things back at home. So if you look at this, this is a kind of simulating a patient who actually has finger injuries or hand injuries. And when they bring this back home, they do not physically need a device. The device can be virtually made, and we can form many different types of exercises that the patients can be engaged to do. And of course, we can track the patient's progress. If they started to do it more quickly, with more dexterity in terms of the finger movement, then we know the patient is recovering. And again, using AI, we can track the patient's progress and try to personalize the kind of training that the patients need to go through. So this is another example of trying to also be a bit more sustainable as well, because all these physical devices need not have to be there. They're all simulated, but patients can still be able to do the needed exercises. So the other area is actually we wanted patients to actually be able to feel their heart and the liver. So this is actually our health minister trying out our gloves and actually holding a patient's heart. And what we're trying to do is to hopefully be able to let the patient hold their heart. So this is an MRI scan of a heart. First, we scan the patient's heart, and then we made it into a 3D model. First, we let him or her feel a healthy heart, and then the patient would then start to feel a hypertensive heart, which is their own heart itself. And there are some patients who are actually also suffering from heart failure. So basically, what they do is they hold the heart itself. They found that actually a healthy heart is beating much more strongly as compared to a hypertensive heart. And we're hoping that from them actually being able to feel their heart, that will encourage them and motivate them to adopt a more healthier lifestyle. We also actually compiled a model of the liver as well. So this is a model of the liver obtained from a CT scan. And first, we will let the patient feel a healthy liver. They can press it, and then they can start to feel their own fatty liver. And in fact, there is a difference between the two livers. The healthy liver is much more elastic or softer. The fatty liver is actually more stiffer. So again, hopefully through this, it will motivate them to adopt a better lifestyle. So these are some of the interesting work we have been doing with regard to using the health metaverse to encourage patients to work towards improving their health. The last one I want to talk about is actually using health metaverse, in particular for patients that are immobile or bedridden. So basically, patients can't get out of home, right? They cannot go to their favorite place, or they cannot interact with their loved ones, especially their loved ones who are staying somewhere out of the country. And what we are trying to do is enable them, while at home or bedridden, they can still interact with their loved ones, like for example, playing a game of chess, or be able to even high-five or shake hands or hold their hands. You can literally be able to feel it. So this is something interesting that we can implement for those who are immobile. Of course, another interesting project we have is we're trying to start is actually, so this is actually a Chinatown in Singapore. And what we're trying to do is to enable patients to actually go into the shop, talk to the shopkeeper that is driven by ChatGPT, and be able to also use the gloves to be able to hold objects like products and as being sold in the shop and so on. So that's actually also another very interesting project that we're trying to start, hoping to help bedridden and immobile patients, relieve them of their emotional stress and depression because they just basically can't get out of their homes. So we have been very fortunate actually to win quite a number of different awards and also receiving some media attention with regard to this gloves. But certainly moving forward, we are going to also explore other types of application as well. So recently, we have this Prime Minister's rally, this National Day rally where the Prime Minister gave a speech. Actually, he also showed a picture of our gloves during the speech itself as well. So let me end by saying that actually our aim of Health Metaverse is actually working towards a future of healthcare. Of course, right now it's still very much a prototype, still very much being worked out, tested out in the lab. But we are hoping that with this approach, we can be able to transform not only healthcare delivery, but enable better accessibility and also personalization of health. And I just want to just give one last comment is that what we're trying to do is to develop Metaverse and AI for good. But ultimately, anything that we develop, whether it's healthcare or Metaverse, it has to either improve clinical outcomes, reduce healthcare costs, or increase life and health span. Because if it's not going to meet or be able to fulfill any of these three things, then I don't think that there is any point in developing the medtech or health tech and try to bring them from the lab to the bedside. So with that, thank you so much for your attention.
All right, thank you so much, Prof. Lin.